Jaya Kunja Bihari, Jaya Radha Madhava, Jaya Kunja Bihari, Jaya Radha Madhava, Jaya Kunja Bihari, Jaya Gopijana Vallabha, Jaya Giri Varadari, Jaya Giri Varadari, Jaya Gopijana Vallabha, Jaya Giri Varadari, Jaya Giri Varadari, Jaya Gopijana Vallabha, Jaya Giri Varadari, Jaya Giri Varadari, Jaya Gopijana Vallabha, Giri Varadari, Jaya Giri Varadari, Jaya Yashodanandana, Jaya Braja Janaranjana, Jaya Braja Janaranjana, Jaya Yashodanandana, Jaya Braja Janaranjana, Jaya Jamuna Tiravanachari, Jaya Kunja Bihari, Jaya Jamuna Tiravanachari, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Jaya Radha Madhava, Jaya Kunja Bihari, Jaya Radha Madhava, Jaya Kunja Bihari. Sri Sri Radha Madhava ki jai, Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavad Gita ki jai. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Hare Krishna. Welcome to Bhagavad Gita class. I think we'll speak English because we have a few guests who only speak English, I think. Tut mir leid. Ich glaube, Yogi wird für dich übersetzen. Hier, nimmst du die deutsche Gita, kannst du da was vorlesen, auch für Kishorikun. Du kannst, wenn du dich zu Kishorikun setzt, oder willst du übersetzen? Kannst du übersetzen? Hast du Übung drin? Ja? Dabei Kishorikunda ist deutsche Übersetzung. Yeah? Yeah, we always do either German or English, and if we have more English speakers, then we do English. So we are reading today from the Bhagavad Gita. We are reading from the Bhagavad Gita, chapter 4, which is called Transcendental Knowledge, chapter 4, verse 22nd till 25. Warum so viele Verse? So, welcher ist dran? Tulyas. Das stimmt gar nicht. Ist es der Vers von Bhagavatam vielleicht? 4,25. 14. Aha, da fehlt eine 1. So there's a 1 missing. So we're reading from the 14th chapter, which is the 3 modes of material nature. So that makes sense. Text 22nd till 25, and on the board we have verse 25. So I'll read the 3 preceding verses, and then we'll chant together the verse on the board. Shri Bhagavan Uvacha Prakasham cha pavritim cha moham eva cha pandava na dveshti na sampravritani na nivritani kankshati udasina vadasino gunaryo na vichalyate gunavartanta ityevam yovatishtani nengate samaduka sukast swasta samaloštashma kanchanaha tulya priya priyodhiras tulya nindatma samstutihi. So now we can chant together. Manapamana yostulyas tulyo mitrari prakshayohom tulyo mitrari pakshayohom sarvaramba parityagi gunatita sa uchate manapamana yostulyas tulyo mitrari pakshayohom sarvaramba parityagi gunatitah sa uchate. Anybody else? Ladies? Okay, so we'll read the word by word translation. Shri Bhagavan Uvacha. The Supreme Personality of Godhead said, Prakasham, illumination, Cham, and Pravritim, attachment, Cham, and Moham, illusion, Evacha, Also, Pandava, O son Pandus, na dveshti, does not hate, sampravritani, although developed, na nivritani, nor stopping development, kankshati, desires, udasinavat, as if neutral, asinaha, situated, gunaihi, by the qualities, yaha, one who, na, never, vichalyate, is agitated, gunaha, the qualities, vartante, are acting, iti evam, knowing thus, yaha, one who, avatishtati, remains, nam, never, ingate, flickers, samam, equal, dukham, in distress, sukham, and happiness, swastaha, being situated in himself, samam, equally, loshtam, a lump of earth, ashmam, stone, kanchanaham, gold, tulyam, equally disposed, priyam, to the dear, apriyaham, and the undesirable, diraham, steady, tulyam, equal, ninda, in defamation, atmasamstutihi, and praise of himself, manam, in honor, apamanayoho, and dishonor, tulyaham, equal, tulyaham, equal, mitram, of friends, arim, and enemies, pakshayoho, to the parties, sarva, of all, arambha, endeavors, parityagi, renouncer, guna atitaham, transcendental to the material modes of nature, saha, he, uchyate, I said to be. So now let's see what all of this comes together. So it's a very nice sequence of verses from the Bhagavad Gita. It's a response of Krishna to a question from Arjuna. So I'll read the question of Arjuna so we then understand what Krishna is directly answering. So Arjuna inquired, "O my dear Lord, by which symptoms is one known who is transcendental to the three modes? What is his behavior and how does he transcend the modes of nature?" And now Krishna is explaining how such a person is. The Supreme Personality of Godhead said, "O son of Pandu, he who does not hate illumination, attachment, and delusion when they are present or long for them when they disappear, who is unwavering and undisturbed through all these reactions of the material qualities, remaining neutral and transcendental, knowing that the modes alone are active, who is situated in the self and regards alike happiness and distress, who looks upon a lump of earth, a stone, and a piece of gold with an equal eye, who is equal towards the desirable and the undesirable, who is steady, situated equally well in praise and blame, honor and dishonor, who treats alike both friends and enemy, and who has renounced all material activities, Such a person is said to have transcended the modes of nature. Purport by Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Arjuna submitted 3 different questions, and the Lord answers them one after another. In these verses, Sri Krishna first indicates that a person transcendentally situated has no envy and does not hanker for anything. When a living entity stays in this material world, embodied by the material body, it is to be understood that he is under the control of one of the 3 modes of material nature. When he is actually out of the body, then he is out of the clutches of the material modes of nature. But as long as he is not out of the material body, he should be neutral. He should engage himself in the devotional service of the Lord so that his identity with the material body will automatically be forgotten. When one is conscious of the material body, he acts only for sense gratification. But when one transfers the consciousness to Krishna, sense gratification automatically stops. One does not need this material body, and he does not need to accept the dictations of the material body. The qualities of the material mode in the body will act, but the spirit soul, the self, is aloof from such activities. How does he become aloof? He does not desire to enjoy the body, nor does he desire to get out of it. Thus, transcendentally situated, the devotee becomes automatically free. He need not try to become free from the influence of the modes of material nature. The next question concerns the dealings of a transcendentally situated person. The materially situated person is affected by so-called honor and dishonor offered to the body, but the transcendentally situated person is not affected by such false honor and dishonor. He performs his duty in Krishna consciousness and does not mind whether a man honors or dishonors him. He accepts things that are favorable for his duty in Krishna consciousness. Otherwise, he has no necessity for anything material, either a stone or gold. He takes everyone as his dear friend who helps him in this execution of Krishna consciousness, and he does not hate his equally called enemy. He is equally disposed and sees everything on the equal level because he knows perfectly well that he has nothing to do with material existence. Social and political issues do not affect him because he knows the situation of temporary upheavals and disturbances. He does not attempt anything for his own sake. He can attempt anything for Krishna, but for his personal self, he does not attempt anything. By such behavior, one becomes actually transcendentally situated. Om Agyana Timirandasya Gyanangyana Shalakaya Chakshurum Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Sri Chaitanya Manobhistam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shayuta Parakamalam Shri Gurum Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Ragunatam Vitamtam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padam Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakam Vitamscha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopipakanta Radhakanta Namostute Taptakanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishavanu Sutadevi Pranamami Hari Priye Jai Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Garadhara Shivasri Gaura Bhaktavinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. So I'll read just the last verse in Sanskrit and the translation again. Manapamanayostulya stulyo mitrari pakshayoho sarvarambha parityagi gunatitah sa uchyate. The Supreme Personality of Godhead said, O son of Pandu, he who does not hate illumination, attachment and delusion when they are present or long for them when they disappear, who is unwavering and undisturbed through all the reactions of the material qualities, remaining neutral and transcendental, knowing that the modes alone are active, who is situated in the self and regards alike happiness and distress, who looks upon a lump of earth, stone, and a piece of gold with an equal eye, who is equal toward the desirable and undesirable, who is steady, situated equally well in praise and blame, honor and dishonor, who treats alike both friend and enemy, and who has renounced all material activities. Such a person is said to have transcended the modes of nature. So the chapter we are reading here is the three modes of material nature, and to understand the three modes of material nature is a much more complete picture of reality. Sometimes people try to define reality in what is good and what is bad, black and white. But in reality, the three modes of nature give a much more complete understanding of what actually makes up material nature. So we have three modes of nature. We have ignorance, which causes sleep, which causes depression, which causes self-destruction. It's unhealthy. We have passion, which is proactive. It's very active. It's full of desires. Driven by the fruits, trying to achieve goals. And then there is also sattva guna, which is sustainable, which is healthy, which is enlightening and elevating. So these three modes of material nature in all kinds of different combinations, just like we can combine the three primary colors into millions of different colors, we can combine these three modes of nature into everything that surrounds us. Literally everything that surrounds us, any item, any type of food, different times of the day, our material body, the way people act, the emotions, everything is made up of these three material natures, these three modes of nature. And the word mode is very important because mode, if you study computer science, you might have heard the term modi operandi, or how something works. So the modes of material nature are how material energy works. It's a reaction and combination of these three energies that make up everything that we see around us. And interestingly, in the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna very clearly says somebody who has a clear understanding and knowledge of those three modes of material nature can achieve spiritual realization. So understanding how they work, and understanding that they exist, of course, in the first place, enables you to have a transcendental position. So these verses very clearly explain how a person who has understood how these modes of nature work and also has transcended them, basically he has gone beyond the material jurisdiction, how such a person works. And it's very interesting because basically what you could say in one sentence is that somebody who understands the three modes of nature, he can transcend material duality. So material duality exists. The three modes of nature are the ingredients of material energy, but material energy, of course, is full of duality as well. Night, day, happiness, distress, honor, dishonor, a whole list of different items were listed here. Somebody who is truly beyond the three modes of material nature does not perceive or is not anymore under the urges and pulls of duality. So, for example, it says here, somebody who treats alike both a friend and an enemy. So that might be very difficult. Usually you would tend to treat your friend like a friend and your enemy like an enemy. But if you have some culture, if you have some true realization, you don't really see anybody as enemy, or ultimately, materially speaking, as friend. Because somebody who has transcended the modes of material nature always can observe how these modes are working. So this is a very crucial, very crucial point. You could say the more we understand and study the modes of nature, become conscious about them, understand what their qualities are, if they are degrading, if they are sustaining, if they are promoting, whatever quality they have, the more you learn to identify those, like usually when you study the modes of material nature, if you really study them, you start seeing everything according to that. It's like, oh, this food is this mode of nature, and this is this mode of nature. So if you really are able to perceive things like that, one of the big advantages is that you, especially in connection to relationships, you don't judge the person. You understand these are the different modes of material nature. When somebody might become very inimical, and aggressive towards you, you don't think, wow, this is my enemy. You understand, oh, this is the mode of ignorance, the mode of passion. There's confusion, there's a desire which is unfulfilled, so there's frustration, and now this person is very agitated and it's, insulting me or attacking me. So you don't take it personally, You can be detached, And of course it sounds a little bit like it says here, he does not attempt anything. So it seems almost like such a person would be inactive, He's so transcendental that he has no impulse or desire to be active whatsoever. But in reality, it doesn't mean that such a person is, sometimes it might manifest like this, that a yogi literally is just tolerating everything. So yogis practice this also. They sit down in ice cold water, in thin kopin yogic underwear in the winter, or they sit in a circle of fire. Bhagavad Gita. So you can practice, also being completely detached and tolerating all dualities, but it doesn't mean that such a person is not attempting anything. It does not promote inactivity. So Prabhupada makes it in one sentence very clear. So such a person can attempt anything for Krishna, anything for a spiritual purpose or cause, but he will not attempt, he will not be inclined or driven, attached to be involved, by the modes of nature. Basically, the modes of nature are the modes that push us to do certain things. It's the mode of passion that is pushing you, to work really hard, to earn a certain amount of money, to fulfill yourself, this one desire that you have. So that's the mode of passion, very clearly. The mode of ignorance, it's very, you start thinking, this person doesn't like me, and anyway, everybody is stupid, and politics is really bad, and economy is bad, and I'm not getting a job, and what's the meaning of life? I should just get some, drugs and dull myself, so I don't perceive it anymore. So that's the mode of ignorance. It's pushing you in that direction. So one of the main teachings of yoga is what Prabhupada also mentions in the beginning of the purport, that we have the ability to distinguish very clearly what are the urges and pushes of the senses, the body, ultimately the three modes of material nature, and what is actually an urge, a desire, an attempt, which is of spiritual nature. This is the main, you could say, duty, or the main practice that we should learn to understand. When is the mind, attached to certain objects, attached to certain situations, ideas, desires, feelings, emotions, that is pushing you to do something and speak in a certain way, do something. And when is it really a desire of the self? Very difficult to distinguish. And but it begins with intelligence. It begins with knowledge. It begins with understanding. It begins with introspection, self-realization. The more we have self-realization, the more you will be able to observe and understand. These are the three modes of nature now. Very clearly, they are arising. They are pushing me. It's not actually a conscious decision I have taken. It's not a vrata. It's not a you could say one-pointed direction I have focused on. It suddenly arises. So this is one of the symptoms of the modes of nature. They vie for ascendancy unannounced. That means you don't expect them, but they come. So usually in a material state, whatever comes spontaneously, you can be more or less sure that is the three modes of material nature. It's suddenly you have, and very often they're contrary to our interest. Many people, as soon as they sit down on a car and take the steering wheel, they become tired. So it's very contrary to what you should be doing. But the modes of nature are very strong, and you become tired. Maybe in a lecture also. In the temple we say there is a mantra to put people to sleep. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. And there is a mantra to wake people up. Sharirara Vidyajal. So the modes of nature are very, very strong. It can also be the opposite. You want to sleep, but you can't. You have so many anxieties and ideas and desires, and you just can't sleep. So it's contrary to your interest. Spiritually speaking, the modes of nature are always contrary to our interest. Our interest lies beyond the push of the three modes of material nature. The three modes of material nature just perpetuate and continue what has been going on again and again and again. So if we want to transcend material existence, if we want to stop birth and rebirth again and again, we need to understand the three modes of material nature. It's one of the key teachings of Krishna in the Bhagavad Gita. So obviously they are of key importance. Understanding the different forms of yoga, understanding the nature of the soul, and understanding the three modes of nature are the main topics that Krishna is promoting in the Bhagavad Gita. Okay, so it's already 7:45, so I'll stop here. Maybe there are any questions, comments, anything you might want to add, correct. Bashar.
Hare Krishna. It seems like we come to this world with already a built-in system of the how to say this? Verhältnisse, the proportions of the modes, like how much percent we have of each mode of material nature. But maybe you can confirm this. I read at some point that it doesn't matter in what is our conditioning. Like if I have 90% tamagun and 5% sattvagun, then by the rules and regulations and sadhana and so on, one day I can actually, just diminish all the lower
Ich wiederhole
modes.
die Frage.
Like diminish all the lower modes, tamagun and rajagun. So can you say something about this? Like, is there a hope for somebody who is, I don't know, sleeping in every lecture, that one day he will not sleep in the lecture, or japa and so on?
So his question was, because we are born with a certain makeup, a certain proportion of the modes of nature, so what is the hope of transcending the modes of nature, depending on what kind of makeup you have? Yes, so we have parapta karma. So parapta karma is manifested karma. That's the body that we have. So the body that we have has a certain composition, a certain amount of intelligence, digestive fire, strength, vitality, life duration, appearance, height, etc. So there's a certain makeup that you have. But in the same way that, when a child is born, it's born in a certain way. And how the parents, take care of the child after it's born makes a big difference. How the parents, educate the child. It says in the first 3 years especially, they're very formative. Whatever happens in the first 3 years has a big imprint. So that's another big parapta karma. It becomes deeply etched in our psyche, consciousness, how much trust we have in people, how much fear we have, how much confidence we have. All of this is strongly, you could say, etched into our consciousness according to the karma, what kind of care and attention you get when you are very small. So these are the two, you could say, very strong conditionings. The body that you're born with, the karmas, and then what kind of family you're born in. And that parapta karma is, it's very strongly conditioning. It's not so easy to transcend. So whatever we bring from there, it might be all kind of disadvantages that might be there. But actually, interestingly, to a certain extent, material disadvantages are a great impulse to take shelter of spirituality. So those who had, who have some difficulties, who experience distress, that there is a natural impulse to take shelter, to look for help. So, and also, of course, we have great hope because one of the names of Krishna is Patita Pavana. He takes care of those who are, having a very difficult condition. So Kripa, or mercy, is basically our main hope to become perfected. Kripa Siddha, it's called. So you can perform sadhana siddha. Sadhana siddha means by your endeavor and sadhana and practice and diligence and discipline, you attain a certain level of perfection. But then there's also Kripa Siddha. We just endeavor as, sincerely as you can, and we always are hoping for the blessings of the Lord. Technically it says we should combine those two. So we should always practice sadhana as if it depends on our work. But ultimately we should always be conscious that we depend on the kripa of the Lord. Just by our own endeavor we cannot really transcend everything. So we are strongly dependent on the blessings of the Lord and of course His devotees as well. So the more we have this very strong, you could say, habit, of taking shelter, of asking for help, it's sometimes the false ego doesn't allow us to ask for help when we actually need help. Like many people describe religion as, the crutches for the weak. Crutches, die Krücken für die Schwachen. So those who are, very weak and independent, they need some religion so they feel somehow, oh, there's God, He's taking care of me. I have some angels, watching over me at night. So some people laugh at religious people because of, how they, depend, they make themselves dependent, on God or some supreme entity or being. Because they, at that moment, feel very confident in their material position. But one very interesting example is, for example, Lenin. I think it was Lenin. Maybe Lenin or Stalin. Maybe it was Stalin. I forgot who it was. Some of these Soviet communist rulers, and very confident, very powerful dictators, inflicted a lot of anxiety and fear into the entire world, especially the Western capitalist world. And so many people, very confident persons, powerful leaders. But at the moment of death, I forgot who of them it was, but one of them, he started praying to a chair, Please help me, please, was holding to the chair, please, I don't want to die, I don't know what's coming, please help me, So suddenly he realized, latest then at the moment of death, we realized actually we are so minute, we are so vulnerable, we are so small, insignificant. If we view ourselves in the context of the entire creation, time, we are so small. So therefore, an intelligent person knows that he doesn't know. An intelligent person knows that he needs help. It's an illusion that we think that we can, be completely independent. So this is, of course, the path or the aspect of taking shelter of devotees of Krishna directly. But from the point of view of sadhana and practice, we should try to become independent of material energy. But we don't want to become independent of the personal relationships we have with devotees. So we want to have independence or freedom from material urges and attachments, but not freedom from relationships. So you could say, to answer your question directly, I think whatever relationships you have, that makes a big difference. Of course, the family you're born in makes a big difference, and then what association you choose later on as well. Okay. Grantara Srimad Bhagavad Gita ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai.